Hello sports fans, it is Monday, June the 16th, year 2014, and as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. Hope you had a nice weekend. We have two new champions to crown, one in the NBA, one in the NHL. Let's start in the NBA, where last night in San Antonio, the Spurs plastered the Heat 104-87. The Spurs win the series 4-1, and they win their 5th NBA championship. Leonard, the MVP, he was tremendous the last 3 games, not only with his defense, but he picked up his offensive game. Tim Duncan just never ages, still doing it at his advanced age. Same thing with Ginobili. How about that dunk he had last night? Throw in Parker, throw in the bench, throw in Mills, throw in Splitter, throw in Green, throw in all the role players. And then they have one of the best coaches in all of sports, Popovich. Popovich is a tremendous coach. He gets the most out of each and every one of his players. The Spurs have a class organization from top to bottom. They do it the right way. They do it with class. They are very humble. They play as a team. There is nothing not to like about San Antonio. They have great fans down there. Tremendous job by the Spurs. And I was talking about San Antonio being old the last couple of years. It was actually Miami that got old in this series. Miami looked very old in this series. Dwayne Wade looked shot. Bosh became invisible. Ray Allen looked old. Battier looked old. Battier announced his retirement. Miami's bench was terrible. Chambers was awful. Miami needs more size as well. They left basically James to do it all by himself. I mean, he couldn't do it all by himself. I mean, I don't want to pick on LeBron James. This series was not his fault. He did basically all he could. So tremendous job by San Antonio, though. They put on a clinic after game 2. Do you realize after the first 2 games, it was 1-1 going back to Miami? And at that point, you thought Miami had a little bit of an advantage. But San Antonio put on a clinic the last 3 games, did whatever they wanted on offense, moved the ball tremendously, hit all their threes, stepped up on defense, and they just blasted Miami the last 3 games. As far as the Heat, listen, they had a very nice run. They went to 4 straight finals. They won 2 of them. They won back-to-back. They pulled the series out last year against San Antonio when they probably didn't deserve to win it, but they did find a way to get it done. 4 straight NBA finals and 2 titles is nothing to sneeze about. Now we'll see what Miami does in the offseason. James, Wade, and Bosh can all opt out. Do they stay? Do some of them stay? I mean, Miami's going to have to upgrade this roster. They're going to have to get younger. They're going to have to get bigger. I mean, they need some more role players here. I mean, you can't expect LeBron James to do it all by himself. I don't know what to make of Dwayne Wade anymore. Dwayne Wade, to me, does not look like a superstar. That's one of the major problems here with Miami going forward. Dwayne Wade makes superstar money, and he's a fixture in Miami. He's not going anywhere, and deservedly, so. He has done a lot for that organization. He definitely deserves to finish his career in Miami. But he makes superstar money, and he is not a superstar anymore. So when you lock up that much money with him, I mean, you can't upgrade your roster anywhere else. Rumors about Carmelo Anthony going to Miami. I don't know if they could fit 4 of these guys under contract, so we'll see. I'd like to see James stay in Miami. The last thing I want to see is him bolt to another team. I had a major problem the way he did that in Cleveland. I mean, I did not like the way he left Cleveland at all. I would have an even bigger problem if now he jumped ship, after losing here in the NBA Finals, and now he jumped out of Miami to another city. So we'll keep an eye on all that. But this is about the San Antonio Spurs. What a tremendous organization. They deserve the NBA title once again. Congratulations to San Antonio and their great fans down there. You guys deserve it. So that puts a bow on the NBA season. Over to the NHL, where the LA Kings beat the New York Rangers 4-1, and the Kings win their 2nd Stanley Cup in the last 3 years. What a run the Kings were on. They were on a magic carpet ride in this playoff series. Let's go through it again, and bear with me. I know I've gone over it a million times, but let's say it one more time. In round 1, the Kings were down 3-0 to San Jose. 3-0, and San Jose plastered them the first 2 games. What did the Kings do? They win 4 in a row and win Game 7 on the road. Then in round 2, they play Anaheim. Anaheim had the best record in the West. Anaheim is up 3-2 with all the momentum. What do the Kings do? They win the last two, including Game 7 on the road. Then in the Western Conference Finals, they are playing the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Chicago Blackhawks. They lose the first game. They're down in Game 2 on Chicago ice. They rally to win that game. It goes to a seventh game, and in Game 7 in Chicago, the Kings are down 3 times on the road by 2 goals. They rally to tie each and every time, and they win in overtime to advance to the finals. Then in the finals, they pick up right where they left off. They're down 2-0 to the Rangers in the first game. They rally to win in overtime in Game 1. In Game 2, the Rangers have a 2-goal lead, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The Kings rally all 3 times, winning in overtime. And then in the clinching game, the Rangers are up 2-1. The Kings rally to tie, and again win in overtime. 3 games in the finals, all 3 in LA, went to overtime, and the Kings won all 3 of them, and all 3 times they were down in the game, a couple times by multiple goals. The Kings had a magic carpet ride season, gritty, gutty, hot, don't give up from top to bottom. What a tremendous run the Kings were on. I cannot say anything bad about the Los Angeles Kings. You may not see a run like that ever again. It was that impressive. Rangers had a nice run as well. They rallied from 3-1 down to beat Pittsburgh. They had a tremendous run. They get to the finals. Lundqvist was awesome. Couple breaks here and there. They could have extended the series to the Kings, but this was the Kings season. They were on a magic carpet ride once the playoffs started. Congratulations to the Kings and the fans. You guys deserve it. So that also puts a bow on the NHL season. Over to baseball real quick. Let's check out the divisions real quick. American League, the division leaders in the East. Toronto continues to lead the East. Detroit continues to lead the Central, but they are not playing well. Kansas City only a game and a half back. Kansas City's won 7 in a row, one of the hottest teams in baseball. And in the West, Oakland continues to lead. Over to the National League East, Atlanta is 1 game over Washington and Miami. Miami continues to hang in there. In the Central, Milwaukee continues to be the surprise of baseball to me. St. Louis creeping up on them a little bit. They're 3.5 games out. And the West continues to be San Francisco. San Francisco did have a rough weekend this weekend, by the way. They got swept at home by Colorado, and Colorado rallied 3 times in the later part of the game to beat San Francisco 3 straight. Hey, San Francisco is entitled to have a bad series. I mean, they're still one of the best teams in baseball. They continue to lead the West. There's all kinds of time to go in baseball. And like I said about a week ago, with the 2 wild cards, everyone's still alive for a playoff spot. So that is your baseball. As far as the U.S. Open, not much drama at the U.S. Open. Keimer, wire to wire, wins the U.S. Open. There was no drama here at all. This guy was unbelievable. He did everything right. Had a moment on Saturday where you thought maybe he'd slip back to the pack. Never happened. No one really challenged him seriously, and he was a wire-to-wire winner at the U.S. Open. Very rarely do you see that. No drama out there at the U.S. Open. Great job by Keimer. As far as the World Cup, listen, the United States plays Ghana tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Here's what I'm taking from the World Cup so far, and I like soccer. First of all, the refereeing has been atrocious. Too many awful calls, too many penalty kicks that were not penalty kicks. The linesmen are clueless with the offsides. They call offsides when it's not offsides. I mean, the Mexico game was atrociously officiated. I mean, they took a goal away from Mexico that was clearly onside. They blew up the Brazil-Croatia game with that awful call that led to the Brazil penalty kick. The referees want to give out cards like they're giving out candy. The players know it, so anytime the players are touched, they're diving. That's a major problem. I don't want to watch the World Cup and see players faking injuries. I don't want to see a million penalty kicks. I don't want to see bad offsides called. And that's what you've got in the first few days of the World Cup. They destroyed the Brazil-Croatia game. They almost destroyed the Mexico-Cameroon game. There was a bad penalty kick in the Spain game. There was a bad penalty kick in the Uruguay game. They threw a guy out for Honduras in the France game. I mean, all sorts of penalty kicks and cards and players taking dives. I have not been impressed with the World Cup the first few days because of that. Now listen, I think it's going to pick up, it's going to get better, but we can't have that. I mean, this is a big stage for soccer. You can't have guys continually diving on the ground and referees making bad calls, changing the outcomes of the games. Terrible job. I mean, so far in the World Cup, I think the biggest upset has been Costa Rica over Uruguay. I was very impressed with the Netherlands. They blew out Spain. Sweden had a dramatic win over Ecuador. I was impressed with Colombia over Greece. A lot of Colombia fans down in Brazil. And Italy beat England 2-1. That was a nice game. But overall, the refereeing's got to pick up. They got to get this offsides situation cleared up, and the players have to stop taking dives. I mean, and that's on the officials. I mean, the players are going to continue to do it as long as you fall into that trap and call it. Player takes a dive, play on. Let's move on. I don't want to see penalty kicks, bad offside calls, or players laying on the ground faking injuries. So that's my take on the World Cup so far. As far as the College World Series, Vanderbilt is up 1-0 in their bracket. UC Irvine 1-0 as well. Those two teams will play in the winner's bracket today. Texas and Louisville are both 0-1. They will play in the loser's bracket. Loser goes home. TCU and Virginia are both 1-0 on the other side. Texas Tech and Mississippi 0-1. They will play in the loser's bracket. Loser goes home. I have been watching a little College Baseball World Series. Couple of boxing notes. I did watch some boxing over the weekend. Algieri, a local fighter right here from Long Island, he beat Pravagnikov in Brooklyn. Very, very strange fight. Pravagnikov put down Algieri, a couple times in the first round, but Algieri, despite a closed eye, boxed well, rallied to win a very controversial split decision, and Andrade in the undercard looked very impressive, so I did catch some boxing. Couple of other sad notes in the sports world. Chuck Noll, the legendary Steelers coach, passed away the other day at the age of 83, I believe. I mean, those Steeler teams were awesome. The Steel Curtain teams, Bradshaw, Lambert, Lynn Swan, the list goes on and on and on. Chuck Noll was the coach of those teams. Chuck Noll, you will be missed. And I just heard that Tony Gwynn passed away. Tony Gwynn, what was he, 54 years old, one of the greatest hitters in all of baseball, flirted with 400 one year. Tony Gwynn just passed away at 54, way too young. Terrible news. I was very sad to see that. Tony Gwynn, you will be missed. All right, you guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. I'll tell you, no more NBA and no more NHL. We've had non-stop NBA and NHL for a couple months. It's all come to an end. Now you pretty much, for the rest of the summer, you have Major League Baseball, but we're still very early in the baseball season. You want to check out some soccer, you have World Cup for the next 3 or 4 weeks. You might want to check that out. But without the NBA and the NHL, there's going to be a little bit of a void here until we get to football season. I will be back with you guys periodically over the summer. I'll check in with you here and there. We'll see how the United States is doing at the World Cup. Anything else going on in the sports world. And I have some big things coming up in September. I have new projects I'm working on. You're going to find me on some new stations, new places to find me on the computer. So I will touch on that probably in August. I'll probably be getting going with that in September with podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So I'll periodically check in with you over the summer. You guys stay safe, enjoy the games, watch a little World Cup, maybe you get into it. I love soccer, maybe you'll fall in love with it. Of course, you got your Major League Baseball, you're always going to have golf, you're going to have some tennis events, you're going to have some stuff over the summer. You guys have a great summer. I'll periodically check in with you. Stay safe, enjoy the games, take care.